right, we've got our standard evening drive. We're gonna do a little commentary. I brought back the the visualization camera for the nighttime simply because it's hard to see at night. So we're going to get this on and popping, especially at night. I don't know if we'll do it during the day. We might. I mean, we'll see. We're all playing this by ear, but this is our AI student driver FSD supervised 12.5.6.3, and it's a little after 6. Yeah, it's about a little after 6. We're going to go down to Westheimer, a particular shopping district where the last 100 feet is absolutely god awful. That is not an easy task for Tesla. I've seen them do it before, but it is definitely having problems over there still. Today was interesting. Nvidia had their earnings, little beat. Tesla's up in the aftermarket, so that's all well and good. Yeah. It's weird seeing holiday lights up, but I guess it's that time. Guy to my left on his phone, I guess it's at the light. It just rubs me the wrong way because I got rear-ended because somebody was on their phone at a light. That shit can wait, I guess, but who knows. Eventually FSD will be mainstream, hopefully by the time that it matters, you know. Who knows? The timeline for FSD is always going to be up in flux. They're doing something that's never been done before in this manner. You're talking about a generalized autonomy for driving. So who knows? But all I know is I've seen the progression for almost 2 years now, and it's been quite alarming, honestly. It's been, in the beginning it was just like a fun thing, like a wow, this was a novelty. But now I'm so dependent on it. It has grown into something that is not only useful, but I feel will be as necessary as seatbelts. So only time will tell if they're able to crack that nut, but just from the progress alone, I'd say that it doesn't get easier, but I think that's where AI steps in. The end-to-end neural nets, you just keep feeding it enough data, and just like those chess bots, they could barely understand the rules of the game, making nonsensical moves. But over time, with enough experience, those chess bots can beat grandmasters. They're better than humans. So enough time, enough data, enough inference, we will have robots on wheels that you'd rather have driving than even the most skilled of us at driving. I know I would. Just looking around. This human experiment of driving, this needs to end as soon as humanly possible. Some mild traffic. kind of early. I guess I could have a drink at the watering hole. It's so good just to see other Teslas. A lot of people wonder why Tesla doesn't advertise. These things are walking billboards. Every vehicle that they sell, it's just like I don't know, it's contagious. In my little cul-de-sac, at one point we had 2 Teslas in the garage, and trust me, the neighbors noticed. And it's not like a flashy brag or anything. They're like, holy smokes. They don't even have one internal combustion engine in the garage, you know? And then when I told them, yeah, we sold one because I wasn't driving it enough, because I wasn't utilizing FSD at the time like an idiot. But that's another story. All this pessimism, right? It's always, you know, I feel like even when I got the solar panels, I only got one power wall initially, thinking, nah, this should be enough. It ain't. When I bought my first Tesla, that full self-driving package, I think was like $7,000. And after I bought it, I watched the price soar up and then fall back down. But I was just like, so pessimistic, like, yeah, maybe when it's more complete. I didn't realize how fun it would be being in the beta test room, or in that group of beta testers back in 2020 or so. That would have been pretty revolutionary. I probably would have started a YouTube channel much sooner. But you live, you learn, and you get lows. It's just like entering Tesla stock, right? I mean, obviously, if you'd have bought Tesla stock in 2014, money would be the least of your concerns at this time, if you bought and held. But, you know, it's never too late. This company is just beginning. What, the United States is 8% penetrated by battery electric vehicles. That's not a whole lot. And trust me, when I look out at the horse and carriages around me, I feel weird. It's like they should know that there is something better around the corner. And who knows, these guys' next purchases of these internal combustion engines I'm looking around, especially the Toyotas, the Hondas, if they're ready to go electric, their best bet is Tesla. So while it's 8% now, we all know it's not staying at 8%, leveling off. It's going to rise to 12, 15, like Europe in the 20s, eventually like China in the 50s. Who's going to benefit? Right now, Tesla has over 50% market share of battery electric vehicles. I try not to look in terms of EV market share because Tesla's goals are bigger than that, but it also is indicative that nothing here in the United States quite compares to that of a Tesla, let alone around the world. Now, some of those Chinese companies, their EVs are well above the standard, especially to what we're experiencing over here when it comes to vehicles outside of Tesla. But let's be serious. There's not a single car that you can buy that can drive by itself. You know what I mean? So, and actively pursuing an alternative to driving, an autonomous general solution. And you can purchase it for 30 grand in some places. You can get a brand new AI4 Model 3 for about less than 40 grand. Let's put it that way. And it gets, like, to me, that's insane. Makes me want to buy a Model 3 right now. So, to say the sky is the limit is almost an understatement, in my opinion. Of course, that is yet to be seen. They still gotta move metal. They still gotta get people to purchase it, and the macroeconomics is still strained. You know, it's easing, but let's be serious, it's still higher for longer for a reason. The consumer is still spending like crazy, and we don't want inflation to skyrocket, because then it could truly get out of control, right? So you gotta get over that. You gotta kind of overcome the fact that money's tight for many people, not just in America, but around the world. So, I don't know. Even with all that, in the face of the worst part of this inflationary period, Tesla was still doing extremely well. And they have a new product lineup that's probably going to change the game in more ways than one. I'm talking about disrupting billion-dollar industries left, right, and center. So, can they execute? That's the that's the trillion-dollar question, is can Tesla execute? And I've only been invested in the company for 4 years now, going on 5. And if I had to place the wager, as you know, I'm all in. This is the best product I've bought in my entire life, ever. Like, hands down. The smartphone is awesome. Shoes, PlayStations, TVs, nothing that I've ever bought has moved me in this fashion. Jewelry, nothing. Freaking, it's crazy. And it's so dynamic, it's so functional that it leaves me wondering how anybody could not make this their next move. It boggles my mind. Haven't had any real issues. This end-to-end on the highway, somebody needs a raise over there. It is the smoothest thing I've ever seen. Keeping up with the flow of traffic. We're in hurry mode, by the way. There's no reason to turn it off. The flow of traffic is the speed limit, as you probably can tell. There has been some occasions where it just starts soaring. Like if it's 65, it'll go 77 and won't bat an eyelash. And I guess if the lights started flashing, I'd have to explain that and take that ticket. It wouldn't be Tesla's fault, it'd be mine at the moment. Either way, let me just use the right scroll wheel and lower it if it gets out of control. Imagine you could have that same experience from the app. You know, I'm really curious to what the consumer, the cyber cab consumer, what they're going to be able to control while in the app. Will you be able to conduct lane changes from the app? You know, if you're not satisfied with what's going on, can you alternate the route, adjust the speed? You'll obviously be able to handle things like the radio. You'll be able to handle temperature inside the vehicle, volume of movies or whatever you're doing, games. But would you be able to adjust, or would you even want to be able to adjust how the vehicle is operating on the roads? I don't know. A lot of questions to be answered, and I can't wait. Next year is going to be informative at the very least. But I fully expect unsupervised FSD to be in California for sure. Regulations be damned. That's going to happen. And I'd love to see it in Texas, especially since I live here. But California, I'm sure the product works way too well. I can't wait to see the data that is released to the transportation organization over there in California, where they can disclose all that stuff. Fairly confident that Tesla is doing everything that they need to do to make sure this is a reality by the end of 2025 at the very latest. So, we'll see. Version 13 will kick off the AI for specific models. I imagine distilling that down to an AI 3 vehicle is going to be extensive. Part of the reason why I don't know if I want to use Tesla right now. I'm sure it'll be fine, but your boy is a fan of the latest and greatest, especially when it comes to things I use quite frequently. I'm more than likely going to get an AI 4 car and probably wait some time. Goodness gracious. All Tesla has to do is create some more deals. I'm building a Model 3 Performance almost every other day, and I get real close to hitting the deposit fee on that thing. So I'll keep you posted. I'm not exactly sure. Yosh would have she would have a conniption, and is it worth that? She typically trusts my judgment, but with the vacation coming up, it seems like an unnecessary expense at the moment. Oh, with the tax credit, babe. The military discount, babe. I'm trying to play on, because she's a coupon gal, trying to play on her whimsy for discounts, even though purchasing it outright is probably unnecessary. Just like when she's in the grocery store, she'll buy something she wasn't going to buy in the first place, but because there's a coupon, it's okay. Yeah, I'll probably end up leaning on that. If the monthly payment, like Elon says, if the monthly payment makes sense, I'll do it. But at the moment, I'm using what I would spend on a vehicle. I'm buying Tesla stock, right? I'm saving some for vacation, but honestly, that money I would be using for the insurance and the monthly payment and the extra expenses that come with just vehicle ownership, that goes into Tesla when we're having red days. I didn't buy today, but if like I have like thresholds. Right now we're at a consolidation period around 340 or so. We dropped to 320. I'm buying. If we have a 6-7% drop, your boy is gonna buy a couple more shares. It's just, it only makes sense to me, right? When it goes up and we got positive days, I just enjoy the paper gains and keep it pushing. All the money that I put into Tesla, I don't have a need for it, right? Like, to me, that money's gone. Like, as if I walked into the casino with $500, I don't expect to leave the casino with money. So it allows me to have fun and do exactly what I intended to do with that $500. I win money, great, but it's definitely not something I'm banking on. So every dollar that I put into TSLA, to me, that money is, I try not to even think about it, Is it there? Sure, it's there. And I don't expect it to just poof and vanish like at a roulette table. But that money's gone, at least for 2033, 34. That money's gone. We're making a right up here. So for some reason, I guess it's traffic that we don't take Wilcrest from I-10. We're going to go in a circuitous route. If you recall, I posted the 2 errors from the last standard evening drive. We pulled into a Jiffy Lube, and we didn't make the last 100 feet. It's the only thing that went wrong with the drive. Out of all the randomness that could happen in a 40-50 minute drive, those were the only 2 things that raised alarm bells. I don't know if this is the exact same route. It doesn't look like it. But based on real-time traffic, we're trying to choose the route that's going to get us there the fastest. And I'm here for it. I really don't experience these parts of H-Town very often. And that's the other big thing about FSD. I remember we went downtown. I don't go downtown often. And then when we went to the Onion Creek, we don't traverse those streets very often. A lot of times it's one-way traffic. Our FSD student driver knew exactly what to do, whereas I would be fumbling around, stressed out. Can I turn down this road? Is this possible? Well, it looks like that Tesla was a little peeved. Come on, Tesla people, we got to be better than that. There's no need. I mean, you're going to be stopped at that same light by the time we get there, no doubt. Maybe, maybe not. But he could have waited. It's just unnecessary, cause accidents that way. So even our Tesla drivers can be a little impatient. Full of the assholery. But what can you do? Except mandate that people use FSD. I imagine that's a little over a decade off. Maybe he did get past this light. Yeah. Safety first, ladies and gents. Safety first. Yeah. Not on these roads very often. Needless to say, FSD navigates them much better than I possibly could. Tesla Live, X Space, also a YouTube space. It's kind of empty, right? The host, Iman, value analyst, he disclosed he had a Tesla short position. He's also short Nvidia. I mean, this guy, who am I to tell him what to do with his money, first and foremost? Interesting. Oh, that was the car next to us. We're hearing this sound. It came from the vehicle next to us. Weird. Anyway, but value analyst disclosed on X that he had a short Tesla position, which sent many of the bulls into a frenzy. Right? I'm a novice. I just believe in the company of Tesla, so I just want as many shares as I possibly can in a company whose vehicles is the only vehicle I plan to ever be behind the wheel of. So that's just me. You couldn't pay me, you literally couldn't pay me to drive another vehicle that doesn't have FSD on it. So I'm putting my eggs in that basket. Is it possible some other company could create a more cost-efficient way for autonomy? I guess it's possible. I just don't think it's in this version of the multiverse. So whatever. Most people would say Tesla, most experienced financial advisors or analysts would consider Tesla to be overvalued at this stage of the game, which I'm no expert. Went to YouTube U when it came to learning about finance and whatnot. Valuable information, very basic information that allowed me to look at Tesla's financial reports and just look for things myself, right? Am I super knowledgeable about it? Could I, do a TED talk about it? Probably not. I don't have a master's degree in finance, but Value Analyst does. So who am I to question whether or not he needs a short position on anything, or what he could, should, or would not do? Either way, what he eats don't make me shit, so it shouldn't bother me too much. But a lot of people abandon the space, which it's in their right. You don't have to listen to things you don't want to listen to. Me personally, I love hearing bearish arguments regarding Tesla, considering I have quite a bit of money inside of it. So, Homar is one of the OGs, especially when it comes to beta testing. The man's a very good investor in his own right. Pretty much, let's be honest. He carried the speaker board, for as long as I've been there. When I'm in there, he's battling bears and things. If Holmars isn't at Tesla Live, it is a loss. I'm not gonna sit here and say it ain't, but there is still some value in Tesla Live, and hopefully these fences get mended, right? And see, look at this shit. He just ran that red light. Anyway, seeing shit like that makes me think FSD needs to happen right meow. But I love listening to Homars talk about Tesla. It is, that man is well versed in the comings and goings of Elon Musk and Tesla, and obviously he's invested in other things like Nvidia, and very, very successful, which it holds weight, it holds value, and I hope he comes back. But I'm gonna continue to support that space. That space is welcoming to everyone, even though value analysts may be a bit prickly. But I think a lot of people kind of have to go in there and understand that when I'm in other spaces on X, there's a lot of disorder. He keeps the conversation moving better than anybody I've ever heard, right? And it's fun. Everybody's in the space. Everybody wants to be lovey-dovey. Well, he's trying to do something a little bit different. Get into the fundamentals. Me, I'm a novice. I'm going in there learning something new every time I step in that space. So maybe it's not for the uber bulls that, just want to hear people dote on Tesla and Elon. But for me, I like having my theories questioned, even though they may be layman theories. That space is uber valuable to me, and I ain't going nowhere. I may not agree with everything he says or does, but that goes for everybody I've ever met. I mean, if if we were going by those rules, my wife would be kicking rocks. I'd be sending her back on a plane to Japan every other month. It makes no sense to me. People are going to disagree, and not everybody's going to have this hive mind mentality regarding Tesla, which I'm perfectly okay with. When somebody says an argument about Tesla, there's probably some kernels of truth to that negative, bearish argument. Question is, does it outweigh the value that Tesla provides, right? Is that enough for me to be like, oh no, Tesla's not going to be the most valuable? I've yet to hear a bearish argument that says Tesla will not be the most valuable company in a decade's time. Nothing that's convincing except they ain't did it yet. If that's your only argument, then I mean you're gonna have to come up with something a little more tangible, right? This dip in production, I was a firm believer that they were gonna get to 20 million vehicles by 2030. That was back in 2021, 2022 when they had, like, it seemed like insatiable demand. And then our interest rates went up to a level that hadn't been seen in a long time. You know, the dynamic shifted. Luckily, NVIDIA made breakthroughs with their chips, making artificial general intelligence a possibility for the first time in a long time, right? Like, everybody was like, oh, you know, you get all these sci-fi novels talking about robots, you know, iRobot being one of them, right? So, but now you kind of got a sense that with this breakthrough, Tesla needed to pivot. You know, the demand for the cars is waning, right? It's obvious, because if you can't make the payment, people can't buy the cars. It's not because the quality of the cars is, you know, not there, but if people can't pay for it, they're not going to get it. And it is an expense. But it allowed them to focus more on the autonomous driving side. It kind of moved up their timetables when they didn't build the Mexico factory due to the macroeconomics. And they're like, well, can we do this? Can we build it in the, you know, on the Model 3 and Y line? All of this stuff. When I first invested in the company, COVID was going down. And it showed me the flexibility of the company of Tesla firsthand as an early investor, and I'm doing research about their financials and what they were saying back in 2016, 17, 18, 19, right? And I'm trying to see where, when people were saying that this company was going to be broke, like they were going to go bankrupt, and then they turned it to be the only profitable battery electric vehicle company. You know, I'm hearing something different, yet something else entirely is happening, right? I needed to dig deeper into this company, and how the mainstream media might perceive Elon and Tesla, the company, isn't exactly what's happening in reality. When they turned profitable, got to 500,000 vehicles in 2020, the narrative seemed to switch a little bit, and lo and behold, the stock took off. And at the time, I'd bought some shares of Tesla and was like, whoa, great gains, let me go ahead and take, you know, I was such a novice and had no understanding about where Tesla was going. Kind of like NVIDIA when it popped. You know, I'd imagine it's very similar to when Apple, nobody knew where that company was going. Amazon, hell, Netflix. Tesla, to me, is all of those companies rolled into one, doing something on a grander scale. You know, this cars it's a much more complex thing to make cars than, say, PlayStations, right? And to do it and still make money, yeah, I have no idea where we are. I am just talking and letting the car drive me. I don't think I've ever gone this way to get to the shopping district. I'm just letting the car do it. And that's fine by me. As long as we're able to make the time, perfectly fine by me. But yeah, if you're a retail investor and people are telling you to buy Tesla, which is, I mean, I'll never tell you what to do. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. And if you've never had if I've never would have bought, what are we gonna do with this? All right, so we got like construction here. I didn't trust that because there was like an open concrete thing I did not want to drive. It seemed like the concrete was being constructed on. There was no cones to block off the open concrete area, and felt like we were driving into that. Did not want to risk it. So we have a disengagement right there. And that's probably my preference. I really can't see where the tire is over there, but I, just paying attention, noticing that there is some work being done on that part of the road. There's no cones or anything preventing the vehicle. Seemed like it was just going to run into that, and that would be much worse. The disengagement is a lot better than needing to call roadside assistance. Well, I don't even know what we're talking about. That kind of caught my eye, but yeah. If you have never been if you own Tesla stock and you've never been in the vehicle, if you've never experienced Tesla's FSD, it is something to behold, first and foremost, and second, it'll inform your opinion. I don't know. It's a no-brainer for me, considering this is the only brand of vehicle that I intend to purchase. But some people don't feel that way. Some people have ridden in Teslas and they're like, man, whatever, I'm pretty sure, yes, Chan, my wife, I'm pretty sure she is in that camp where, sure, I could drive anything, right? And that's fine. It's not like we should get divorced over it. But to me, I don't want to drive again. And this is the only thing on the planet that you can buy that is close to not having to drive. Is it? Alright, so we're coming up on 40 minutes of driving or so, roughly. We've had one disengagement. We've done a pretty circuitous travel to get to this shopping district that completes our standard evening drive. And I imagine it's basically because this is the high traffic time on Highway 10 and on these main busy roads here. So we're coming up on Willcrest. It would have been nice not to have to experience that extremely large pothole, basically, where there was construction and no cones or anything walling it off. But we do what we got to do. Let's see if we can make this last 100 feet. My guess is probably not, but it has surprised me before. Part of me wants to just let it go. I mean, we're early enough. I'm gonna just let it go. If it goes to the back alley, we're gonna let it go, unless it's dangerous. And we'll move on. Maybe grab a drink. Yeah, I will continue to go to Tesla Live. I recommend it. Again, it might not be your cup of tea, but I guess it's not for everyone. I mean, I don't like kimchi, but it's still in my fridge. I mean, I still have to deal with it. But I kind of like Tesla Live. Value analysts may rub some people the wrong way, but I love the way he handles spaces. Bears and bulls are invited all the same. I hope the bulls that left eventually find their way back, and we can have some enlightened discussions about where Tesla is headed, pros and cons. Both are equally respected, in my opinion, as long as they're sound arguments. Bearish arguments tend to just make me chuckle, but then there's some that have kernels of truth in it. But most bearish arguments are cherry-picked facts that don't paint the entire picture, and that's fine. As a bull, I tend to look at facts that, we gotta know who we are. I like listening to things that are optimistic, and it's easy to be jaded, but I'm not investing in Tesla because of some pie in the sky or some Elon fandom. Although I think he's great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't, if Elon was selling me my Model 3 in 2020, I wouldn't have known. I didn't know the guy was in Iron Man 2. And I'd seen Iron Man 2 way before I bought my Model 3. So, but I didn't even know he was in the movie until after I bought my Model 3. I just really didn't care about the fame that he had, and I missed out, right? I wish would have known more about him, so that I could, inquire more. Maybe I'd have had a Model S instead of a Model 3 if I'd have known more about what was going on. Who knows? Anyway, but the company to me is like, it's hard to see a world where Tesla isn't doing well. Even if they're not, how do I put this? Let's just say they're not the most valuable company in a decade's time. They'll be fucking close. From where they are now, that's still crazy levels of growth and value, even if they're not the most valuable company right now. All right, so we're gonna take the back alley. This is not where we want to be, but let's see what happens. All right, so there are vehicles back here, and there's a truck. This is why we don't go back here. All right. Report. Maybe feature complete. We could see our AI student driver do these maneuvers. Maybe. Something tells me I should not. I kind of want to park here. But yeah. This is why the back alley is bad, Tesla. I suppose unless we are delivering something. And that's why the back alley is bad, Tesla. Who knows what's back there? We want to be at the front of the establishment, like right here. Our AI student driver is now trying to park this thing as best it can. I think we're going to go in there for a drink or two, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.